get it over with.
I would like to call to order the City of Saugatuck's Parks and Public Works Committee meeting for October 24th, 2023. Will the city manager please call the roll?
Certainly. Baldwin,
Here.
Cherrick. Cherrick,
Here.
DeYoung,
Here.
Johnson.
Here.
Kimball. Kimball. Roach.
Here. Member Kimball is excused. She is vacationing in the Galapagos. Lucky her. Yes.
Turtle country.
Next up is the agenda. Can I get a motion to approve, please?
I'll motion.
Second.
Motion Roach, second Sherrick. All in favor, please say yes.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Motion carries. I'm sorry, can I also get a motion? We have Mr. Nitre here from the ODC network, and he would like to be our guest speaker. Can I get a motion to have him join us as such?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Motion Roach, second to Sherrick. All in favor, please say yes.
Yes. Yes.
Motion carries. Lisa, would you like to be a guest speaker also? No?
Sorry. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Chair.
All right.
Just making sure you didn't skip the approval of the minutes.
Minutes.
Oh, I'm sorry. I did skip over the approval of the minutes.
I'm here for you.
I do that every time. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes from the meetings from September 26th, please?
I will move to approve the minutes. Oh, now second it.
All right, motion DeYoung, second Johnson. All in favor, please say yes.
Yes. Yes.
Motion carries. All right, on to our guest speaker. We have Mr. David Knight. Well, I'll let him introduce himself and what he wants to do, what he's here for.
Good morning, everyone. My colleague Sarah will be on her way too. We just wanted to thank the group for taking the time on Friday to participate in the SOAR session, as well as the work that was done previously. We just appreciated getting to work with the city. So my goal today was just to be here if you had any questions on the draft of what we put together over the weekend. Clearly, if there's some amendments, we were happy to update that to give you a final version, but we wanted to start with something just based on the notes we had taken over on Friday. With that, if there's any particular questions to start, I'm here. Otherwise, if you want to call me up later, I will be enjoying the hospitality in the front row.
Well, I attended the SOAR analysis and I just want to thank you for leading it. It was wonderful, very well attended. We got a lot accomplished. I know we had a couple of members who were not able to be here. So if they or anybody has any questions for you, do any of you have any questions for David?
I do not.
No?
I do have a separate question. Are we online?
Oh, is the Zoom on?
It is on, but the TV screens are not on.
Oh, okay.
But let me get my best help.
Thank you for that.
Don't want to be accused of anything.
I do have a question. Should we wait or can I ask you?
Love it, Glenna.
I know it's been just a short time, but we asked the question about the what the value of the land trash refuse dumping is. Yeah, were you able to find anything out about that?
So we've not looked. That's probably an area. Oh.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
What was your question?
So one of the oh.
My phone, I'm listening to it downstairs.
But one of the comments at the end of the meeting was trying to figure out what the value of the current use is for the city in terms of the compost storage, yard waste, those kinds of things. That's not something we've looked into, and we could come up with maybe a guess by looking at some services that are provided, but I don't know that we might be the best way to get that answer. Just in
And it's been
transparency.
visible on my phone the whole time.
Yeah.
That to me. Oh, okay. Yeah, so there is for those of you that weren't there is a current use on that site. It's talked about in the report. Obviously that use has an economic value to it, and the group wanted to make sure we were properly, we as in the group looking at it, properly looked at what that value is or what alternatives might be.
Thanks, Steve.
Oh, no problem.
So I know that everybody here has received a synopsis of what the SOAR analysis had. Just to generalize, it was overwhelming opinion is to have, very light hiking use and heavily lean toward conservation. Again, this is just preliminary and we are not taking any action at this point, but just trying to get an overview of how the public sees the best use for that asset.
And the only other thing I'd add that at least we felt we were hearing that folks would like to see the space activated in some way for residents beyond the current use, whether that's in conjunction or different, but just a lot of excitement from the folks that attended.
To legitimize the existing trails. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, if no one else has any further questions, we're good.
Thank you. I'll be
Thanks
right
for
here.
attending. Thank you. With that, we'll move to our first public comment session. Anyone in the audience, please come up, state your name, and keep it to 3 minutes. No one in the audience? Anyone online? Doesn't appear so. Okay, we'll move on to our reviews. We have Mr. Herbert back from his vacation, paternity leave, which I
Not
would
a
call a
relaxing
vacation.
one, I'll tell you that. It flew right by. Oh, thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, so back, I was out of work for a couple of weeks, so I'm just myself getting caught up on some of the things that Public Works has been up to. But I was pretty impressed with what I came back to see. We've been, over the past, I'd say, couple months, we've been making continuous improvements to the Mount Baldhead Pavilion. So just to recap, we had TNT roofing. They put a new roof on the restroom at Mount Baldhead as well as the pavilion roof. Then we went through and pressure washed all the concrete and wooden posts. And now we are in the process, which should be done this week, especially since the weather is cooperating with us, to have the whole thing repainted. All the wooden posts and support beams and everything will be repainted. So happy to see that improvement. It's been a long time since work was done to that pavilion. And on top of that, we're moving into more seasonal activities like winterizing town. So blowing out irrigation, shutting water off, winterizing the restrooms, so on and so forth. Switching gears, we did sell 2 pieces of equipment recently. They were old police deputy cars. And so those got sold recently, and we're in the process of selling our oldest dump truck. It's a 2009, and it's already been replaced. We have our new one, which was actually at a recent snowplow rodeo hosted by the American Public Works Association. So it's a brand new chassis, brand new salt spreader on it, and new snowplow on it. So they used it. West Michigan International used it as a showpiece for to kind of show what they could do. So that was kind of nice having a City of Saugatuck truck in that. But on top of that, the crew as we speak right now are hot and heavy with brush and leaf collection. We added 2 for the month of November. Just as long as the weather cooperates until the snow flies, we'll keep going around and picking up brush and leaves. So hauling them out of town. Vork Brothers is currently refurbishing and painting the rose garden fence and the bridge lights on the Blue Star Highway Bridge, as well as there's like an iron gate on the main restroom. They're touching that up too. So it's really good to see that. And then road construction projects are going pretty well. There's a couple hangups. Every project's got a couple hangups here and there. This one's no exception. We're hitting a lot of, the excavators are hitting a lot of clay up on Taylor Tackin East and West Street, which has been a little challenging for installing storm sewer, but despite that, the projects are still relatively on track, or hoping to still pave in mid-November as long as temps allow the asphalt to be within spec. There's a pretty sizable challenge at North Maple Street. There's a small section near North Street that's getting crushed and shaped. We opened up the dam gates at the Peterson Nature Preserve to help dry up that intersection. It didn't work as well as we had hoped. I had a meeting with the excavator like yesterday, and we think that maybe the beavers that were busy at work before clogging up the dam, it's possible they've obstructed some of the water flow. And so Mr. Heist doesn't know this yet, but I think I'm going to be, I've been in that marsh before. It's some serious terrain to navigate through, and it's just muck. So you are going to be having a conversation with me about possibly a drone purchase so that I don't have to go in there. But we'll talk about that later.
Can't wait, thank you.
Where do the animals clog it or destroy it or
Do their work?
embellish?
Yeah.
it?
Beaver's gonna beaver, right?
They were damming up the dam. And
That's
so,
over by the spillway, right?
yeah, that little
Between the two.
walkway that
All right.
Peterson's built, or whoever at one point built that walkway. But now they're not damming that up anymore, but there's still this, like, I mean, the water's being held back somehow. And rather than marching around in waders and getting stuck in muck, which I've done before, we need to get eyes on it somehow. So if we can narrow down where we think the possible obstruction might be, if we could open that up and help drain that intersection a little bit better, it's going to be a lot better for our project. So that's kind of what one of our challenges are for the next couple of weeks.
Can we hire some to look with the drone, like Nick Masters, I'm sure
We could,
would help you
yeah.
out with that.
yeah, we could, and I think the sheriff's deputies have one too, so we could just as a temporary solution, but wouldn't be as cool, but.
I see where Scott's going.
Sorry about that.
Listen, cool is obviously top priority for sure.
Sounds like it.
Have you dug the culvert underneath North?
What's that?
Maple, have you dug the culvert underneath?
It's exposed. It's just, it keeps filling up with sediment. And so there's no way to keep it open without doing some serious excavation.
And that's coming from the east, the sediment.
From the north side, let's see.
Well,
Yeah, it's all just the stagnant water that's creating the sediment in that area. And that's pretty much all the way, even as you approach Blue Star going eastbound on North Street, each side of the road is just squish sediment. So it's no good to build a road on. So, but anyway, so that's one of the challenges. Hopefully we can get that resolved soon. It's kind of a big deal. And then I could not leave this podium without promising one of my coworkers that I would mention that we are going to be beginning installing Christmas decorations soon. So we have one of our DPW staff members that gets pretty excited about that. So I told him I would mention it.
Fantastic, thank you.
And at the Mount Pavilion or the pavilion at Mount Balding,
Mhm.
is there any thought of putting like a stone drip edge around it where it's always constantly eroding around that concrete base?
Hadn't thought about it until now, but it's something we can look
Something
into.
we should
I've
look
always
into.
kind of wondered, like, why is there this giant elevation
Right, well, it's
difference
only 'cause
between the
it was-
parking lot and that slab? It's either the world's thickest concrete slab that I've ever seen.
Eroded away,
Or,
so.
yeah, or something's going on there,
Yeah.
but we'll take a
All
look at that. Yeah, good point. Any other questions?
Scott, I know you have been in contact with Sinclair about the new playground build.
Mhm.
And so just curious in your conversation, if there's anything we need to be aware of as far as the tear down or the build in the spring so far.
Yeah. So in the back of my mind, I kind of plan, as we go through the seasons, and I thought removal or uninstallation of the existing playground would be a great winter project for us. We'll see how diligent we can be about salvaging whatever we can salvage. I don't know what that's gonna look like. If it ends up taking more time than we think, it might not be practical for us, but just as a time frame reference, that's kind of what I'm thinking. So maybe like December, it depends on the weather, but like pretty much when the worst weather conditions are, that's when we'll be out there doing it. But then as far, I did have a good conversation with Jeremy just on exactly what the community build means.
Yeah.
And just re-emphasizing what the responsibilities are. So like, Public Works, I think we've committed to decommissioning the existing playground, and we've also committed to doing some site prep. And I just wanted to make it super clear with Jeremy, who was very receptive, that in my eyes, this is their project and they're going to be leading the charge on it. And if there's challenges that come up, which there certainly will be, we'll do what we can, but we can't just block off the whole Public Works to devote to this project, unfortunately, for like several weeks. But,
Yep.
And he completely understands that. He's a great guy to work with. So I don't really have that many concerns right now. If we do run into something that we don't have time for and it needs to be done, he has a laundry list of contractors that he trusts. And so we'll just cross those bridges when we get there.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
How deep, just one last question on the construction and tech and.
Mr. Chair, could you pull your microphone a little closer, please?
No.
Thank you.
Hi.
Good.
How deep is the clay base? Do you know any approximate
It
forfeit?
varies. And one of the challenges has been what we thought from like a perk test type of, or like a sample test or bore test, I guess you call it, where we thought we would run into sand. We haven't. And so we've had to go substantially deeper than that. And so I don't have an exact, I'd have to go almost site by site
Right.
to tell you what a depth is. But I think last time I was talking when we had a update, we have another update on Thursday with the contractor, but it was varying between like 7-8 feet all the way up to like 15 feet deep.
No.
So
All right,
it gets
'cause
deep.
I'm just curious because of where I live, it's 4 feet.
That won't be as much of a challenge.
Thanks.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Scott.
Okay, so moving on to our study group updates. I think I know the answer to this because he told me before, but the invasive species,
Still invasive.
still invasive. Do we have anything else from Member Roach on the invasive species?
I do not.
There was a lot last.
You did say something earlier.
So the city did contract out for the treatment of the hemlock woolly
yes.
adelgid. That work has been completed. So-
Oh, wonderful news. I didn't know that. Thank you. Now we can move on to the airport property. I can take this one. As stated, we had our SOAR analysis. Again, it went exceedingly well. Always just wonderful to partner with ODC. And it got a lot of good public input at the session. I think that you know, the general consensus, so I know that the general consensus is to do some like there's already existing trails. We seek to legitimize those trails. We need to make sure that we do things in a thoughtful and productive way, looking into, you know, do we have insurance concerns, parking concerns and whatnot. So with that, I did want to entertain a motion to have staff be able to look into the viability of doing some, I guess, due diligence would be the way that I would.
I move to recommend the city council staff begin due diligence for improving existing trails at the airport property and ensure public access and safety.
Can I get a second?
I second.
Motion DeYoung, second Johnson. Is this a roll call or a voice vote?
This is going to be a voice vote.
All in favor, please say yes.
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 Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Blue Star Multimodal Path, we do not have member Kimball here today. I don't have any updates. Do you have anything you'd like to offer, Mr. Manager?
Thank you. The next project status update with our contract, our engineer C2AE is going to be on the 31st, Tuesday, Halloween.
Halloween, okay, all right. Ruth can wear her shirt.
And so, I mean, just real quick, one thing that city staff is requesting and the Friends of the Blue Star Trail is just a project schedule update, a Gantt chart. Where are we at with this project? What are the deliverables at what time? And then what's going to be coming in front of the Parks and Public Works? You've heard me say this before, but you all are going to be reviewing the pallet sign issue in as far as like where that trail goes and how that works out. The bridge crossing aesthetics, that's something else that you all will be working on, and some tree replacement concerns. So those are the three main things I think that this group is going to focus on. And of course, you are just going to be making recommendations. I don't mean it, but you are going to be making recommendations to the city council.
Thank you.
Quick question, Mr. City Manager.
Mhm.
Will we, since we're going to be making recommendations, will we be meeting with the consulting firm prior to sort of walk through and be very specific about what they're asking?
Correct. Yeah. So we'll have the engineer present at your, like some of your future meetings here and then do walkthroughs as well.
Thank you. Any further questions on that? Okay, we'll move on to Village Square and Playground. I'm assuming members Roach and DeYoung would like to give us an update. Go ahead.
Well, thank you for recommending last time that we send it to council, and thank you for council for approving this. So we're able to move ahead. Wanted to find out from Scott about the tear down, so that's good to know. I think good plan during the winter. We did talk to Jeremy yesterday, had him on site again, and it looks, they've already ordered the equipment, and it looks like the install, depending on weather, could be the 3rd or 4th week of April.
Oh,
Oh,
nice.
Yep. And so we will reconvene with Sinclair after the holidays, so the 1st of January, to have exactly what we need to do as far as the community build and make sure that people are aware of the timing so that we can make sure that we have enough bodies out there and
Mhm.
have a really good experience with it.
Yeah.
So they're gonna take the lead on all of that. And then we'll be back to PPW and council to share the information.
Yep. He's estimating we'll need about 30 volunteers, which I think we should not have any trouble coming up with in this area.
For 2 days, 30 volunteers for 2 days for our portion. And then obviously you're paying for another portion of the install for their group to do.
Would the 2 days be over a weekend, do you know, or is it be during a week?
When I did the build for Schultz in Beery, it was during the week.
During the week,
So
okay.
I think that's just something we need to
Okay.
talk about, but I think during the week probably will be better.
Can we have like young adults too? I mean, is there an age that we need to stick with on this?
That I do not know.
I don't know. I do have another concern, I guess it was a concern that came up at city council was in the ODC report. They mentioned about having signage there. And we had already known that there was going to be signage, but it's going to be in the form of stickers that are on each section of the playground, stating what age range it would be for and for liability
Oh,
purposes.
good to
So
know.
that is already going to be there. It's not something extra we have to add.
Okay.
So that's gonna be on each piece of equipment or something?
It will be.
Yeah.
How about a sign coming April 2024?
With a picture.
It would be nice if we
With
got
the
a banner
visuals.
with the,
Yeah, Helen and I have discussed this, that we should probably have something up with coming soon. a picture of the
Especially as the tear
renderings
down
and a
is.
QR code, so
Yeah.
that people can look into
Yeah.
it further, so they know it's going to remain a playground and outdoor space. So, yeah, that's something we can take on and figure out.
okay.
I found out after that meeting, I mean, we really do have to be transparent. These people want to know what's happening, you know, so I think putting up signs like that to say coming soon or
Mr. Manager, do we need to make a motion to do that, or can city staff do it?
It's a good idea. City staff can just.
City
handle
staff
that.
can
Yeah.
just take care of it? Okay,
Thank you.
perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else?
Oh,
No?
we're thrilled.
I
Yeah,
beyond,
yeah.
Thank you,
it's been-
everyone, for your support. We're really excited to see this come to.
We're in this together.
it's really exciting. It
Yeah.
is really exciting.
Madam Chair, just the fact that the city of Saugatuck did cut a rather large check to get this project going. So
Yeah.
that's actually, that happened.
We saw that
So
last night, yeah.
This is a real thing. And then we did have somebody reach out to repurpose some of the playground equipment.
Oh,
Right.
I mean, as much equipment as we can keep out of the waste stream,
Yes.
the better. But there are some logistical challenges, like, what does that look like? I mean, do we just put some of the large playground equipment off to the side and people come pick it up? I mean, we don't quite know what that looks like. So sometimes it's a good idea and we'd love to do it, but some logistical challenges come in the way. So anyways, just a heads up that people are reaching out to repurpose the equipment in other areas at their own risk.
Right.
Because it is old.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, and kind of to keep the momentum going, it'd be nice to look ahead and start thinking about the tennis court and possibly converting that to pickleball court also, like they did at the yacht club, which is beautiful.
So some of that, I think I want to get into discussion. I was making notes about for our tri-community item C.
Okay, cool.
And so I think we should talk about some low
Sounds
hanging
good.
fruit and some bigger projects, but to me, they go in a couple buckets and I think we should get to that when we
Got
get
it.
down to there.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Ruth, do you have any updates on Park Street or Mount Baldhead improvements?
Park Street, I did reach out to Nick Masters because he's always here and I just want to make sure he knows he is being heard. And the project he has it's beyond our scope. I mean, it would have to go to an engineer firm, but he's already talked to John Moxie, I think, and Scott about stuff. So, but he did also, Nick just wants to make sure that he wants to work with us and the city work with him. And also he was talking about the three-way stops and the people north of Perryman are all for those because that's a way to slow people down. And again, that's the goal on that street is to slow people down.
To that end, do we need to,
I don't know what we
do we
need
make
to
motion?
do.
Because we've talked about it. So there at Perryman and Park, and then
Park.
also at
Campbell
Campbell
and
and
Park.
Park Ferry where that intersects. Do we need to have a motion for that?
That would be great. That would then go in front of city council.
Can we do it on the fly?
Yeah, go for
All
it.
right, if someone wants to make a motion to,
I motion that we ask the city council to review 2 3-way stops on Park Street. One on Campbell and Park and the other on Perryman and Park.
can I get a second?
I'll second.
Motion Johnson, second Roach. All in favor, please say yes.
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 Thank you.
Motion carries.
One other thing, we have a huge deer problem over there because we've got their habitat on one side, their drinking source on the other. They're crossing Park Street, which I'm all for. But people are asking if we can just get a sign up, deer crossing, which I think is pretty valuable because
Use
it,
it?
can they read?
Isn't Douglas gonna
smart, dear.
kill all the deer? I mean.
Well, so it's Grand Rapids, I've been
Yeah.
told, so, or sterilize them, but I'm
Yeah.
not for either, but
That works
yeah, it's a
too.
whole nother thing, so. I'm just wondering if that's, I mean, is that simple just to put a sign up or do we have to? like,
So
go
I know
through
I know
everything?
I've reached out and
Okay.
so the message that I've received is that, we can put up a million signs. It doesn't mean that anyone's going to do anything. And so far, there's only been one deer accident in the city of Saugatuck, and that person was deemed to have been speeding, is my understanding.
Okay.
Look, I'm in favor of a sign. I don't know what to say about that. Do we
I don't know
want to
what
take
to
it to
say
council?
either.
We can make a motion.
I mean,
for-
I don't.
You're not in
I-
favor of a sign?
I don't, well, he's not ever in favor of things, so the point being, you don't live over there. I mean, seriously, I've got people.
Backyard like last week.
I'm all for the deer crossing. Seriously, I am, but people are asking me, so I'm here as their representative.
I
on
understand. Yeah,
Park
I live
Street.
over there too, and it
So,
is,
yeah, it is.
we call them the deer mafia. I mean, they stand there and they just look at you and,
They
yeah.
do. I
Mhm.
mean, but they're, I do whatever you want, but the point is I'm bringing it up. If you want to put a sign up, put a sign up.
Mhm.
Mr. Chair, if you could bring your mic closer for this fun discussion.
I'm not in favor of deer signs.
Do we want to make a motion?
It's certainly up to you all. I will say that when it gets to the city's staff level, when we discuss it at
Yeah.
city council, well, we will mention that, one, the deer don't typically read the signs. I mean, it's a good point. But also there's a concern with sign pollution, right? And
Right.
so.
There is, yeah, and that's was one of the things we don't want is sign pollution.
Right.
But
so
you've
that-
got people asking and I want to
Yeah.
let them know that we brought it up. We discussed it, we're either in favor of it or not. It's as simple as that.
Mr. Herbert has some comments on this.
Please, yes, please do, Scott.
I'm gonna
That's
be a little bit of a downer on this, but we had a
My
pretty,
proposal, I'm just, I'm the person talking.
fair enough.
Yeah.
We did have a pretty lengthy discussion internally. I think Ryan and I talked with our engineering firm about this too. And basically what it kind of boiled down to is that when we start considering adding signage, we try to have a demonstrated issue versus a potential issue. And that's kind of what category this falls into. Given the fact that there isn't a large car deer crash history, we view this as a potential issue. And, the deer, I think because the fairly slow speeds, relatively
Right.
low speeds, it kind of gives the deer and the motorists an opportunity to see each other and
I
avoid one
agree,
another.
yeah.
So for that reason, at least from a staffing level, we recommended not installing it, but we can certainly, anyone can disagree with that and that's not offensive to us at all. So just wanted to add that.
Okay,
Wait, That's good. Sorry, go ahead.
no,
Oh, that's an interesting point. I didn't think about deer being a traffic calming device,
Oh,
but perhaps they are. So when you start talking about
They
calling
are.
the deer.
yeah, oh, yeah, no, I mean,
I mean, they really are. And it's,
I drive slower than 25
this
when
is
I'm,
the deal.
especially at
This-
night.
it's-
Yeah, you don't see them until they're there.
and the development happening over there, the disturbance of their environment. It's on, we're doing it,
fully
man.
Agree with Member Johnson. I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like we keep building in their area and then we're
Yep.
mad when they're hanging out in ours and it's,
Yeah, I've been eating
kinda
our
rich.
plants, you
Yeah.
know?
yeah.
Maybe we should put deer sculptures there. So it's not a sign, but people see a deer.
Yeah.
and traffic
We don't need, no, we don't need a sculpture. I mean, they are
Don't need
literally, they
sculptures,
are
yeah.
just looking at you.
Yeah,
Yeah, and they're not even afraid of my dog anymore. She's
No.
a Chiweenie, so.
I know you're joking, but in Jackson Hole, they do that for moose. They have these beautiful sculptures on the side of the road so that you're aware that moose do cross there. And so they do it in a very tasteful way.
Yeah.
But it's also to protect the animals and you're
Yeah.
not,
Yeah.
if you hit a moose, you're in big trouble.
yeah.
I
So,
was half joking and half serious.
yeah,
Yeah.
so I mean, it's
Yeah.
a real thing out west.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, so we are going to move on to review item C, the Tri-Community Parks and Rec Master Plan update. I know that member Roach helped me out and sent an email to folks to kind of think about what their priorities are for the update. We're still in the, creation phase of this and working with the other municipalities. I have some, let's go roundtable, I think. Okay, would you like to start, Member Johnson?
I'm sorry, I wasn't even focusing on what you were saying.
I'm
So
sorry.
What?
For the Tri-Community Parks and Recreation Master Plan.
Yep.
Basically like just to prioritize, like what are your projects that you'd like to see over the next 5 years? I mean, I know that, you feel like Park Street, you want,
Well, I think to keep it as a whole, though, for our parks, I think my biggest issues are keeping the waterways, working on those, working on that, and signage. I think signage would be good to kind of be to give a sense of continuity to each park, whether we do informational signs or just signs that they're there. I think safety factor. Yeah, I don't. It's about, I mean, it's about it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Member Chair?
I didn't go in depth into it, but I'd like to see if we can do some water bottle refill stations.
Like at Bald Head and.
Bald Head downtown and maybe on the north side or south side here. And the new airport. Or the old airport.
Okay.
And maybe I don't know if it's kind of a recommendation. I don't know if if our marinas do it. Kind of a recycling program.
Yeah.
At the marinas.
Okay, we're starting recycling.
I know
Do
it.
that. You're talking about the wraps?
They do
Well, we don't
those.
get the wraps here. But I know they get the wraps at Tower and Tower's not in our toolbox.
Yeah,
But-
because I know like RB Marine is doing that because I called them to make
Okay.
sure that they had access to that program. Because I think it's like a $7 charge to the consumer. So what we're talking about is
The
the-
blue
the-
wraps.
The wrap when you're finished.
When you winterize your
winterizing
boat, yeah.
boat. And so my understanding is that is being offered in town and it's a charge to the consumer. And they just send it off to be recycled.
And I know that sounds weird, but when they had the drought out west. And some of the water levels dropped in the marinas, like in Lake Winnebago and stuff, they found gazillions of batteries.
Hmm.
In the water, and the dry land that boat owners just toss aside.
Nice, yeah.
So I know this sounds weird, but maybe some way to go along the docks.
And seek them out, okay?
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't know that fits into a Parks and Rec plan, but that's,
It does fit in the
Cleanup?
invasive battery species. but,
okay. Noted.
That's pretty much what I got so far.
All right, so I went through and did some, I see the priorities kind of going into two buckets, like the stuff that's low hanging fruit, kind of repair and maintenance and things that would be kind of goals. And so I'm just really just putting these out here in general way, and I'm going to communicate it to Viridis when we meet with them. But we've got some really low hanging fruit and very obvious things that need to be done at Mount Bald Head. Repairs, planting, all of that, getting that shored up. Mount Bald Head is in desperate need of some repairs and, gravel parking lot, things like that would be a recommendation that I would make. The same goes for the village courts and the bathrooms. Like we're talking about, the courts are in pretty sorry shape. Just decide what we're really going to do there. Are we going to have tennis, pickleball, the basketball nets and that? Airport property, we already talked about, just, legitimizing the trails, talking about what we need to do for parking, rose garden maintenance, signage to, Member Johnson's point, signage and trail markers, keep people on the trails and keep them from wandering off and, into, fragile dunes and whatnot. More invasive species maintenance, upping our recycling game. So these are the things that I would call like really, I don't like to use the word easy, but things that are certainly doable in the very near term. And I would even call them repair and maintenance and just, kind of caretaking of our assets. For goals, I mean, I know that we're talking a lot about doing a fish cleaning station, possibly at Wicks or Coughlin. I would like to see bathrooms at Coughlin. And again, these are just my recommendations that I would like to suggest. Some Oval Beach upgrades. I'm going to speak for member Kimball because she is not here, and say the Peterson Preserve, because I know she would want us to hit on that. And the Blue Star Trail construction, those are obvious ones. Another long-term one, I mean, one of the things that came up over and over again in our survey, it's coming up heavily, is a community center. And that would be something that, you know, again, long-term, that we would maybe even partner with the schools and, you know, Douglas and the township. So those are just the things that I have that that come to top of mind when I think about our 5-year plan. And if I could just, you know, have a wish list, those are the things that come to me.
Thank you. So I would start off with conservation. One of the things that came up with having Ruth from the Land Conservancy here is that there are a lot of different ways that these things are carved up. And one of the things that I was really surprised by is that we don't truly know exactly what delineations all of this land that we do have in our park system is currently under. And so talking kind of the way that Helen is the low hanging fruit, I think that should be a priority and a commitment from our group, is to make sure we know exactly how protected our lands are going forward. That's sort of, I think, what as a Parks and Public Works group, we owe the public to know exactly where that stands. So I would like to see us act on that pretty quickly moving forward. I see Mount Baldhead as, you know, a repair and maintenance thing, you know, spending so much time there in the summer. It is in disrepair, and there are so many people, and, you know, thank you for all the work that you've done on the Park Street, because that leads right into that whole area. And having been here 15 years, it's stuff I didn't notice because I don't live on that side. I'm there all the time, but I pick my times, right? And so going towards kind of peak hours when everyone's going to Oval Beach, you realize how clustered that is, how unsafe it can be. And then you realize the facilities are not where we need them to be. So I would like for us as a group to reprioritize Mount Baldhead and see that the stairs and the decking, the signage, recycling over there. I love what we're doing with the pavilion, having all the kids over there for the Invasives Day and using that pavilion for educational purposes. That is totally possible for our community. And if we have the right structures in place, easy to get them over there and use that. So I think that would be fantastic. I also see we need to invest in Oval Beach. We need to put some thought into how we're utilizing that, and you know, a lot, that's going to be one of our more expensive investments. And so I think we need to strategize on what can we do now to make it more functional, and what do we truly want it to be for our community in the future? Because I think I know I talked with some of you, there's so many cool things that we can do that are very unique and that fit in with the ideals of Saugatuck already, but would take time and planning and financing for that. So those are sort of we should do now priorities. And the other thing is connecting the trail systems. I think in working with the ODC and then also being on the steering committee, that's the thing that's coming out, is that all of our lines with the communities are blurred. And there's so many opportunities to connect the schools, the downtown districts, and the parks in a meaningful way. And so I would love for that to be a priority for our group. And we're already part of the way there. And so how do we bring that full circle so that people can get to where they want to go safely? So that's that. And then for future for me is that we are very much in need of ball fields for the kids and rec area. So I'm happy to do that presentation I did for City Council 2 years ago that sort of kicked off like, hey, is the airport property the appropriate space that we already own to do this? Or is this something that we work together with the 3 municipalities to find space for? But we have really robust programs. We have a lot of successful sports programs going on here, and we are out of space. And what that does is pushing kids to having to do practices and games into really late times that are not necessarily appropriate for the age groups. And so I would love for our group to, I think that's something that's an interlocal thing that we need to look at, where's the right space for this, and then work together, because obviously that would be something we all go in on, just like we do for, you know, the interurban and Saugatuck rec as it stands right now. I would love for us to look at doing a foundation. I think that there's a lot of really cool things going on. And like Helen has said before, people don't necessarily want to give their money to the government, but if we develop a reputation for doing really important work for our green spaces here, I think people would be more willing to do that. And again, I see that as an interlocal opportunity. The airport property now and in the future to figure out what that space is going to mean for our community. acquisition of future land. I think that's super important with all of the building that's going on, is we really need to think, because just like the airport property, once that's gone, it's gone, and we can't reverse that. And so I think we need to be really thoughtful about that. And then I love the idea of having the community center so that we and winter sports, that we can become truly four season. Because I think so much is focused on this being a summer destination and really fun in the summer, even for locals. And then it gets really quiet even for us in the winter. And I'd love for us to be able to expand the number of places to be social and be doing healthy, productive things in the winter. So that's future for me.
Thank you.
I have two buckets too, but I think they're a little bit different. I think we should spend just as much time on stewardship as we do the recreation part of this. And you've talked, everybody has talked about that. But I think with the lands we already have, we could have stronger designations. And Ruth did talk about that a little bit.
Yeah.
I think we do have some other invasive species in like the natural area, barberry, things like that, that we're not paying attention to. And now with the airport property, we find there's hemlocks over there, and those would probably need treatment. But also the land acquisition part. So kind of stewardship of keeping keeping out up too much development. I love and then the recreation side of it, I think there's kind of two parts to that. There's the trails and getting outside and being active but then there is the true recreation part where you have programs and facilities where sports kinds of things can take place. So I think within that half bucket, I think those each need half recognition each. I think we could do a better job of telling the story through our parks and trails. And I love what they've done at the Demers Shanty with History
I
Center.
agree with that. Yeah, those are
I do
beautiful.
too.
Yeah.
And Sally Winters, she's just great. And I think that if we carried that theme and looked through, we could do that and really honor the old Singapore town that was here and some other things. So
Wonderful. Thank you.
Mhm.
So I think as far as reviewing next steps, we have a steering committee meeting coming up, and that's the next step for Tri-Community. I think the rest of it, we just keep plugging away. I'm gratified to see that we've got motion for the airport property, for the three-way stops. We've gotten through some things today. Anyone else that have any items for next steps that you want to put out there? Okay. We are at our second public comment section. If there's anyone in the public who would like to speak, please approach the podium and limit your comments to 3 minutes.
Try. Hi, Garnet Lewis, 987 Lake Street, a member of City Council. I never pass up an opportunity to speak when I'm on this side rather than on that side, so it's great fun. But I was sitting here and realizing how extremely proud I am of all of you. This group, as you know, we had a Parks and Public Works Committee years and years ago and then did away with it. And council in its infinite wisdom decided to bring it back. And you all and your time and your energy is already showing its value in this community, whether you're on the west side or on this side. And I can't thank you enough as a member of council, but also as a resident of this city. So I hope you'll keep me in mind when you look for volunteers for the community build. I'm happy to volunteer, and I'll say it right now, Isabel's will provide donuts and coffee.
Outstanding.
In the morning. So we'll never pass that up. But, lastly, just looking at your accomplishments in the short term, Kelly and I have been involved with recycling, and the fact that the recycling bins are coming, the playground approval, that is so visual. That just is amazing. And then now the airport property and all its potential, all its opportunities for not just the city of Saugatuck, but our greater community, which I think continues our overall commitment as a council to bringing everyone together rather than existing in these kind of silos. So basically too long-winded, but thank you so much. And please never forget how extremely valuable you are and your time is. Don't let anyone tell you any different. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. Very sweet.
Anybody else is welcome to say what she did.
Yeah.
I will echo what Garn said. Lisa Mize, Executive Director of the Convention and Visitors Bureau. I'm very excited to hear everything that you guys are working on. Love it that the Parks and Public Works is back. Just a couple of things that I want to make you aware of, that the CVB Board of Directors has embarked on a destination development project, and they've hired Ed Freer. He's a landscape architect out of Wisconsin. He was involved in the Extreme LA program in 2015. If you are familiar with it, great. If you're not, a group of students came in from California, did a study for Saugatuck Douglas, and gave a presentation as far as what they saw opportunities to be for destination development. Unfortunately, back in 2015, it kind of fell by the wayside and nothing was ever done. So we're hoping to breathe new life into this by bringing Ed back and talking to stakeholders with the board of directors. We're inviting all of the city managers, Saugatuck, Douglas, Fern Valley, and the township, as well as some other stakeholders who are interested in destination development. So my ears perked up when you mentioned community center, when you mentioned the Oval Beach upgrades and things that are needed there, because I think these could tie in really well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Lisa, before we lose you, how can our group work with you? What would you need?
I think it would be great to have somebody from your board on at the table when Ed is here. Ryan, I'm inviting Ryan. I've made him aware of that, but if someone from Parks and Public Works would also like to be there.
Absolutely.
Okay.
All right,
Thank you. Anyone else in the audience? No? Online, it looks like we do have a taker, Mr. Gardner.
Yeah, Mr. Gardner, he's unmuted. Go ahead, sir.
Good morning. Mr. Gardner is my father. I'm Russ.
Hi, Russ.
Hi, everybody. For those of you that don't know me, Russ Gardner, Saugatuck City Council. And before that, Mount Bald had champions where they put on my name, but I just view myself as being a strong advocate for Mount Bald Head Park. And please, what I'm hearing today, I've talked with Helen Baldwin in council and after council meetings about my interest in working with this group to continue to move the needle on Mount Bald Head Park for the reasons that were mentioned today. There's some attention that's needed. Some work's been done. Replacement roof on the pavilion and the bathrooms have been completed. They've painted the pavilion. It's a vast improvement over where we were before. We have a lot more work to do, and I would really like to work with this group and those that are interested to continue to move that project forward. There's a lot of to-dos over there, and I'm engaged, and it's one of my personal priorities. I know it's a council priority. I know it's a Parks and Public Works priority, and here to help.
Thank you. Okay, it looks like that will close our second public comment session. Member closing comments. We'll go this way this time. How about Lana? We can start with you.
Yeah, I just wanted to add a little bit more meat to the airport property discussion, because we really didn't have that. I'm assuming this doing the due diligence is really about opening the trails right now. And it's just the first step, low impact signage to keep people out of areas where they shouldn't be, because I think the true value there is the natural beauty and we don't want to disturb it. So I'm for opening the trails, but I really would like to see low impact.
Thank you.
Yep, I just want to reiterate what Garn said. Thank you all for everything you're doing. I definitely enjoy being part of this group and seeing all the things that are happening. So it's very exciting. And then one thing I'd say is with our township counterparts, I'm hoping you guys all saw that the Tails and Trails just had their first track meet this week. So I wanted to make mention of that, how exciting that is, how I believe that that's exciting for our community, where it's a group of people just like us that had a vision. And now our middle school team has had their first home track meet in 20 years. And here we have state award winning track team, and we've not had a space to be able to house that. So I think that's super exciting what's going on over there. And then the potential with the airport property and the landfill and all the work that we've been doing of like, how do we integrate those spaces for their highest value? So anyway, it was great to see the kids out there running this week.
Where was the middle school track meet?
So that is everyone parked in the dog park parking lot or along the street there. And it's the land just behind it. that they have made into trails and chipped out and
Is that the old, okay. I know
yeah,
exactly.
yeah. So it's Trails and Trails Dog Park, but it's the land behind it. I think there's another 30 acres that they've converted over. So it's for middle school, they run a 2-mile track. So that's what I think they ran twice. So there's a mile track there now but it's enough that they're able to host a home meet. So.
I guess it's my turn. I know.
Thank you.
Just speak into the mic. Thank you. I'm actually kind of excited for some future projects for the ball fields that you mentioned before. There's quite a bit of land that we can look into, garner and facilitate in Douglas especially. And I hope Douglas is willing to work with us going forward to utilize the space because they have some nice vacant property that would just be some beautiful soccer fields. I don't know if you've mentioned that to him. Also with the invasive species, I will dive into that this winter because they will become more prevalent after the winter season ends and they start coming to life again. That's basically it.
I too want to thank you all. You're amazing people. I'm glad to be part of this truly. I agree with Glenn. I think with the land we have left, we have to be gentle with it and be caring for it because when it's gone, it's gone. I'm seeing that all over on the west side and we share this land. We don't own it. So it's just my thought. But thanks, we're amazing, I think.
Thank you. I'll close by echoing a lot of that sentiment. And I think we talked about this a little bit at our last meeting, but I see us as guardians of our public space. And we need to be respectful and mindful always of that. Also gratitude for everybody here. We're getting a lot done. It's not without a lot of hours, a lot of thought, a lot of effort, a lot of other missed opportunities. And so I think that Saugatuck is worth it. And I'm humbled and happy to be surrounded by people who agree with that. Thank you very much. And thank you. I want to acknowledge that we did have correspondence today from Mr. and Mrs. Cook from the township. Thank you for that. With that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion Cherick, second DeYoung. All in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Meeting adjourned.